the important part of our own healing is opening a path to becoming empowered, reclaiming our own power, and truly becoming free from the past so that we can live fully in our authentic natural joy. So this principle, it helps to open a window of compassion. It helps to recognize that everyone experiences suffering and pain in various ways. And to see that the practical reality is that in that moment, they were not capable of doing better or differently on some level. Just as we've made more poor choices, even when we might have known better, just as our own behavior might have likely hurt other people in certain moments. So if we can extend this understanding that everyone's always doing the best they can, we can also extend that to ourselves, and we should extend it to ourselves first. You don't necessarily have to believe that other people were doing the best they can while you're working through your process, but it can be helpful to keep open-minded. But first, we want to at least extend it to ourselves, to recognize that we've always done the best we could, even in our worst moments. And the fact that you're watching this and looking at your healing also means that there's a part of you that's motivated to grow, to heal, to do differently, to do better, to have a more whole life, a more healthy life, a more joyful experience. And so there's some part of you that wants to shift. And so we want to give ourselves compassion for that process. You know, in one of the last gatherings that we had, one of the principles we talked about was recognizing that we are not broken, that there's not some part of us that needs to be fixed, that we're already naturally whole, but how do we love ourselves back into wholeness? And so this tool is another way for us to be able to do that by finding that grace, that compassion, that acceptance of these are the mistakes I made, I can learn from them, I can grow, but it doesn't hurt or it doesn't help for me just to beat myself up over it. That I'm not broken and deserve to be punished in some way, but I can learn from the experience. So it opens that window of compassion, and it allows that practical reality that we are not capable in those moments of doing better or differently, for whatever reason that was. So just as we've made poor choices, even when we might have known better, just as our behavior can hurt other people, we want to extend that to ourselves and to other people. And so this potentially opens a pathway to forgiving others and also ourselves. And again, usually ourselves comes first. So to learn from our pain and consciously choose better instead of being stuck in it, to focus on what we can actually change and have the wisdom to understand what we can't change. We can't change the actual thing that happened in the past, but we can change our relationship to it. And so from this, we can have compassion for ourselves. We can have compassion for others. And we can more easily use our new awareness to investigate how to heal, how to grow, how to transform negative karmic conditioning, and how to step into a higher potential of experience where we break the cycles, where what we know in this moment and the resources we have in this moment have been up-leveled into a higher potential through our healing and our spiritual growth. And that allows us to do better than we were capable of doing in the past. And from there, we're able to raise our level of consciousness as well. And so to be clear and to reiterate some points, because one of the things that happens with this principle of everyone's always doing the best that they know how given their resources is, especially from a place of feeling really hurt or really mistreated or traumatized, that it can sound like we're trying to say, those people who treated you awful, they were doing the best they can. You need to just give them a pass. That is not what we're saying. So I want to reiterate the point here that that is not what we're saying. What we want to be saying is that we're not justifying people's bad behavior, or we're only giving ourselves a more helpful context to understand it from a different perspective, because it is our freedom that matters here. It's us finding our freedom, our wholeness, our healing. And whether or not they ever get it or understand it isn't really our responsibility. They may never understand. They may, to their last dying breath, think that they treated you golden and that you are completely ungrateful. That's not our responsibility to deal with that part of it. But we want to be able to free ourselves. And so this shift becomes part of a strategy and a deeper understanding and a higher level of awareness and consciousness to be able to start moving beyond it. And it doesn't mean you're going to get it right the first time either. Like, it's still part of the process. So we might still find ourselves angry and judging ourselves or blaming other people or whatever, but it becomes part of our awareness to continue to apply this and remind ourselves that we're all doing the best that we can. And so we want to give ourselves a more helpful context and understand it from a different perspective so that we can focus on our own healing and become free from these past patterns and pain. We are choosing what is best for our own wholeness and happiness in this. We're coming to understand that in most circumstances, other people's behavior towards us is not actually personal, even when it looks like it. They may be literally saying you are this and you are that, and I'm doing this to you and I'm doing this to that, but it's their karmic conditioning that's running in the background. They are acting out of their wound and they are meeting whatever need that they may have, et cetera, et cetera. And again, it may look personal. It may feel personal. If you ask them, they may even say it's personal. And of course, it will feel personal to us. But part of the shift of understanding this and stepping out of it is to recognize that it's actually the karmic patterns that are in charge here. That the human persona that you have met and encountered that is acting these things out is not ultimately the power that was thrown on you. It is the karmic pattern that is the thing that hurt you. And so we want to be able to step out of it a little bit and to understand that on some level, it is not personal. The behavior is not personal, even when it looks like it. So we're not denying that our past experiences were painful either, or how we may feel about the people that hurt us or the other people that are involved, or how we feel about the experience itself. But we will work to integrate and accept the fullness of our feelings as a path to healing and wholeness. We are not bad or wrong if we still feel angry or hurt. So this principle is not to say that, like, oh, you just need to start being nice to everybody and let it all go. That's not what we're saying either. It's part of the process. Because the anger and the hurt is a real part of your experience that needs to be addressed and acknowledged and healed. So we don't have to pretend that it's all good if it doesn't feel that way right now. The concept of forgiveness is also about freeing ourselves from the hurt and the anger. It's not for the other person. It's for ourselves to be able to heal and to move forward. So forgiveness doesn't need to be forced. It doesn't require that you go tell the person that you forgive them. And it doesn't mean that you have to keep that person in your life either. It's okay if we choose to limit our interactions with or remove someone from our life as part of this process. And having learned our lessons and having greater clarity, we get to use deeper wisdom and discrimination to determine who we interact with. We also get to choose who we want or how we want to be treated and focus on nurturing connections that treat us well. And so those become part of the new choices that we might make as we are bringing greater awareness to this. But being able to release the anger and the blame is ultimately about you becoming free. It's not really about the other person, and it's important to understand that. So releasing the hold of these past traumas and hurts opens us to a future of healing, growth, and empowerment. And so this shift not only heals us, but it also changes the way that we interact with the world, breaking the cycle of pain and resentment. And we learn to release, or as we learn to release self-blame and blame for others, we're able to truly be free from our pasts also. We pave a path towards living our best life now instead of feeling haunted or limited by our past. We learn to effectively use all our experiences in life as pathways towards healing and wholeness, and we shift our relationship to life in a way that allows us to more easily face the challenges that arise and step into opportunities for greater happiness and joy. And so creating this shift in awareness opens up a higher state of spiritual awareness for us. By truly finding ways to release self-blame and blame towards others, we find greater peace and acceptance, which helps us create an empowered life now. And it supports building the strong foundation that's needed in what I refer to as stage one, where we're deeply investing and investigating our spiritual nature. We're investigating the nature of spiritual reality and the tools and perspectives that help us access the true source of healing so that we can remove these past karmic patterns and awaken to higher potential. And it supports us in increasing our level of consciousness, doing deeper healing work, and supporting a process of spiritual awakening. So learning to release blame and self-blame in an authentic way is an important part of raising our level of consciousness.